Review and test AliExpress PC set for $55. Kllisre E5-V304 plus E5-2420 plus 2x4GB. The set with AliExpress consists of a motherboard, processor and RAM. The Kllisre E5-V304 M8X form factor motherboard has an E5-1356 connector. It is possible to install only 2 modules of memory to 16GB each. Included are the strap size is 4GB. Declared support for all Xeon E5 processors under the E5-1356 socket. There are some M.2 connectors for installing a high-speed drive. There are 2 PS/2 connectors for connecting the mouse and keyboard. 6 USB ports, 1 Ethernet port, 3 audio connectors. The Intel Xeon E5-2420 processor has a base frequency of 1900 MHz, with turbo boost on 2 cores up to 2400 MHz. All modern instructions are supported, except AVX2, F16C, FMA3 and TSX. The test stand consisted of a set of motherboard, processor, RAM. The Deep Cool Gamma Archer PRO cooler was used for cooling. The yellow frame for mounting the cooler, which comes with the motherboard, had to be slightly expanded with a hair dryer, since the cooler did not fit into it. An HP SSD EX900M. 120GB was used as the system disk. Power supply unit FSP ATX 600 PNRI 600 watts ATX. Video card, not the most powerful, but the only one that was at hand. Zotac Force GT 610 Synergy 2GB ZT 60600 1 to 10 liters. All tests were performed on the Windows 10 2004 operating system installed on the M.2 drive. The first series of tests used the AIDA 646.25.5400 program. Using these test results, you can compare the performance of this build with your system. The memory read test showed 20,858 megabytes per second, the write test showed 18,041 megabytes per second, the copy in memory showed 19,619 megabytes per second, the memory delay was 83.9 nanoseconds. The CPU Queen test showed 37,903 points. The CPU PhotoWorks test showed 12,142 megapixels per second. The SLIB test showed 269.9 megabytes per second. The CPU's test showed 12,866 megabytes per second. The SHA-3 CPU test showed 693 megabytes per second. The FPU Julia test showed 17,369 points. The FPU Mandel test showed 9,205 points. The FPU San Julia test showed 4,399 points. The FP32 Ray Trace test showed 3,104 Cray-S. The FP64 Ray Trace test showed 1,692 Cray-S. Further tests were performed in various versions of ThreadMark. Of course, the weak video card showed a low overall result, however, you can see the processor tests. In ThreadMark 03, the processor scored 157 points. In ThreadMark 05, the processor scored 584 points. In ThreadMark 06, the processor scored 5,402 points. ThreadMark Vantage the first CPU test showed 3,137 operations per second, and the second test showed 30 operations per second. The overall CPU score was 22,773 points. It can be noted that the 4-core Core i3-8100 processor in this test scores 1,000 points less. ThreadMark 11 showed a physics score equal to 7,128 points. The PCMark 7 test showed a total score of 3,765 points. It is worth noting that in this test, the Core i3-8100 processor scores 5,510 points. And let's look at the test results of the HP SSD EX900M. 120GB drive. The speed indicators are very good. What can be said about this system in general? Of course, this build can't compete with new computers from your nearest store in terms of performance. but in terms of price and performance per dollar, this build has no competitors. This system will be a good basis for a budget computer that can solve any problems, and if you add a good video card to it, you can comfortably play any modern games. So if you have a very old computer, or no computer at all, and you are limited in funds, this or a similar build can become your working tool. In addition, this build has the potential to upgrade to a more capacious memory and a more multi-core processor.